Hey guys, and welcome back to Sonic Unleashed. We're completely done with Holoska now, sad to say. I'm gonna miss this icy abyss. And yeah, let's go back to Italy land to talk with the professor, because as it says in the rule book that every tourist has to carry with them at all times, you must speak with the pickle before you can venture to other lands.
Well, you see, it's because every puzzle has an answer. And therefore, because critical thinking is the key to success, we need to speak to the professor because he clearly knows everything.
Yeah, I suppose so. Flame's just in the dark right now because he doesn't play smart games for smart people.
Hey, I play Sonic, right? I like the part where he goes fast.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. Actually, just while we're doing the setup, let's have a serious and frank discussion here. Richie, do you prefer the Sonic games that go fast, or do you prefer the more adventure style of 3D platforming? Just to make it, purely 3D, so you don't get tripped up with 2D and whatnot.
I prefer basically I prefer the boost gameplay games, the ones where you go fast but there is fun platforming in them. Partially because in my head, they feel like the better constructed levels, which is probably going to get me slated by numerous people. But I don't know, there was just something about the adventure style gameplay that just never quite sat right with me. I don't know if it's because I was young when I started to play them, but they just never quite... They never felt like Sonic had enough weight in them.
Fair enough.
And so they've just felt very slippery. And I think some of the refinements that came with the boost gameplay, like the targeting reticule that was pretty accurate in terms of working, and yeah, there was just a lot of stuff that they did in the boost games that just made me feel a lot more comfortable with playing a Sonic.
Fair enough, mate, fair enough. What about you, Flem?
I think both can work really well. I think that the adventure style... this is something that I'm really having to suck up a lot here to say, but I think Adventure 1 got Sonic's gameplay spot on.
Hell yeah.
I think it's the way the spin dash works in particular, and the fact that levels are designed around there being really cool shortcuts that you can do. And I would imagine, given the nature of that game, that there are also parts where the level was not designed around using the spin dash, but the spin dash works. but like that really works. And I think also the boost, in theory, it's a really good gameplay style for Sonic. It complements his character well, and it complements just the idea of going fast, and that works.
Yeah.
I think it's not quite perfected yet. Like Generations is the closest it got to being perfected. Because Generations boost gameplay was kind of like the compromise between Unleashed Sonic and Colours Sonic, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Because like Unleashed was a bit on the boosty sort of side, whereas Colours was a bit too slow, and like Generations sort of took cues from both of them.
Yeah, it was the nice middle ground, between the two.
I say that as someone who's leads slightly more towards the Unleashed level designs and gameplay style than the Colours one. I think it could have swung that way a little bit more, just to stop having the sort of, okay, now we're in 2D for some reason and doing shit.
Yeah, yeah.
That did sort of break up the levels a little bit, but I think Generations is the closest we got, and that's part of why Lost World pissed me off throwing all that away, because that could have been the opportunity just to do something new with this gameplay style that we've almost perfected,
Yeah. I'm not like saying you can't have simpler levels, but I think Lost World just threw the baby out of the bathwater for no reason other than, we're insecure and we need to change it up, because if Sonic's not different every time, we can't be like Mario and just refine the formula over time. Thankfully, they seem to have finally pulled their heads out their arses and have taken to long spaces of time where we don't get any information because they're just building the game. I don't know what my argument was when I started that little spiel, but by the end of it, I made myself sad. So let's head on over to not New York, where the frame rate drops like a fucking rock for no reason whatsoever.
Indeed.
Right, what I'm showing off here is just an abridged portion of how one of the techniques I used to grind up my character. And that is feed him a fuck ton of burgers, because you get a lot of experience from feeding Sonic burgers.
Nice.
Totally fair.
it does kind of go a bit skew with logically because I had never really touched any of the food or any of the souvenirs or whatever in my initial run. I had a huge backlog of rings, and at one point I bought 99 burgers and fed them to him in one sitting. and then to grind for more rings, I went back through some day levels, and Sonic was running at full speed on that stomach.
Well, at least he burned it off fast, you know.
Yeah, but that can't have been good for him.
I suppose. Alright, let's start the night portion of Skyscraper Scamper. This is going to be where the night stages might start to annoy you a little bit, at least if you're, trying to fuck with the Dark Titans and whatnot, because they just love to knock your ass off the skyscrapers.
Indeed.
Now, Empire City as a whole is another area that's exclusive to the HD version. It's not even like Missouri, where there's just like a little boss and a bit of cutscene and that. There is literally nothing from Empire City in the Wii version. But the way it looks here, I quite like its aesthetic. I like the whole city at night thing. That's just a look that I've always come to really like. It just looks really cool.
And again, like we mentioned in the Rooftop Run part, you've got the classic old European style, like Venice and all that kind of shit with Rooftop Run. And then you get the New York style and the hey you get out of my way sort of thing with, Skyscraper Scamper.
Indeed. And it does work really well. I think that is the really good thing about Unleashed's kind of level set is, well, I mean, technically you've got 3 city levels, because you could argue that Windmill Isle is a city level as well, because a lot of that does take place in the town. So, but that's very white and watery, so that's got its very specific aesthetic. You've got Rooftop Run, which is all the oranges and all of that, which is very unique. And then you've got Skyscraper Scamper, which is lots of yellows and greys and blacks. And so they all look very, very different, and so they all feel different, and also they all have unique platforming challenges to present to you. And I think that's why, even though you have ended up with 3 of your selection of stages being city levels, they feel different enough that there's not a problem with that.
Yeah. I enjoy Empire City Night. It's not the most exciting of levels to look at, and some of the platforming can be a little bit annoying. Like there, for example, it's a good job these platforms have, like, grabby holds on them. But, I don't know, I still have a good time with it, and, it's one of those things that I can't really put into words, you just have to kind of take my word for it. I enjoy it more than, cool Edge Night. It's probably the music. I'm a big fan of gaming music in general, and if the music's right, I'll suffer through whatever, hideous contraption you have put together. But if it's not good, then I ain't fucksing with it. And oh my god, the city's choked by the smog below. Was that some sort of slight against the American people, Sega?
Well, to be fair, like, Speed Highway was kinda like that. Like, there's a lot of shit going up high and nothing down the ground.
Did you have a point there, or you just like to shit talk the American, like, vehicle society, or however it goes?
If you want to put words in my mouth, because I have none, then go right ahead.
Okay.
But this is where a point... I think also the fact that the game is more of an adventure as a whole. Like, the idea of having multiple city areas, that is just like a trip around the world. And that just works better as a big picture. Because, if you're going on a world trip, you're going to check out all the big cities and all that. Whereas if you're in Generations, you're going through a very fast-paced game where you go to City Escape and to Rooftop Running, not really that much time between it.
Yeah.
Then that's where it seems a bit overkill.
And then you've got Crisis City as well.
Yeah, true.
And Speed Highway.
Yes, we all know about Generations, diverse level choice or cast. Let's not get into that again. Also, if you want to get really pedantic, you probably could boil down every one of Unleashed's, countries and whatnot into a city level. You've got Apatos, the coastal city.
Yes.
You've got Missouri, the country city, if you will. You've got Rooftop Run, the European-style city, classical and whatnot. You've got the typical, skyscraper-infested American-style city. You've got the Inuit city with all the igloos and whatnot. And, you've got the city in the sands with Shamar and whatnot.
Yes.
By the way, didn't get a chance to mention it. I think Shamar has my favourite hub of the game. Oh my god, Flame. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I nearly got knocked off, but I survived.
Anyway, where was I? Yeah, City in the Sands with Shamar, and you also have, I guess you could call it the Seaside City, which is different from the Coastal City, you'll just have to take my word for that, with Adabat. And then I guess there's Eggman Land at the end, the man-made city.
Everything is a city, you have a city, you have a city.
What's the difference between this man-made city we're currently in and Eggman Land? Different men made them. Piss off.
Now, here's something that I feel we should discuss. So, I distinctly remember that when Sonic Unleashed was announced, or at least when it was announced that the HD version would have these exclusive levels in Missouri and Empire City, I recall that there was very much a persistent rumour that went around that Shadow and Knuckles were in the game.
Yes,
and I distinctly remember that obviously everyone was just like, well, where are they? And then people were just like, well, maybe they're in Missouri and Empire City because they're exclusive, and there was all those ideas going around, and then basically, obviously, that was just completely fictitious. But it was nice to think that they might have done something like that, because that would have been an interesting angle to take, to be fair.
Not sure I'm comfortable with the hedgehog that's coloured black and the red echidna who's coded African American most of the time, turning up in the African stage and the stage with a lot of
yes, that is very true. Yeah, that probably wouldn't have been quite cool.
But the rumour was, if you got all the day medals, you got Knuckles, and if you got all the night medals, you got Shadow, which is something I'm not sure. I can take it or leave it, mostly because this is Sonic's adventure. Not Sonic Adventure, Sonic's Adventure.
Yes.
If you want to get pedantic. And, I don't know, maybe it's like DLC, maybe. It would have been cool to play as optional characters, which is something they really should bring back at this point, honestly. Optional,
yes.
Not mandatory, because, mandatory is what gets up everyone's nose. The optional stuff is fine. And, I don't know, I think they could have done DLC, but as it is, what the fuck?
I thought I was meant to just block off the laser gate there, but then remembered there's a switch.
Yeah, they are the Infinity lasers, mate. You cannot destroy them. You have to press down the switch.
To me, I'm glad other characters didn't show up. Like, this works with just the characters we have. I like that there's a bit of a smaller cast, because, I'm not against the idea of having Sonic's friends showing up like that. I think it worked for the adventure games. It got a bit silly in 06, but But this is Sonic and Chip's adventure. Tails is there to help out from time to time. We've got a good new character in Pickle. Like, these are all we need.
Oh, definitely.
And if you want Knuckles' side of things, again, just read the Archie adaptation of the Unleashed arc. It'll tell you what he was doing. Spoilers, pretty much had to do with the Angel Island going haywire again, as it always does.
It's always the way.
I'm paraphrasing, obviously. You'll have to support Archie and read the comics to find out exactly how it went down.
You paraphrasing? I thought that was what they had on the storybook.
Angel Island does a shit. Jobs are good. Yeah, just go Unleash and destroy this thing instantly, because there's not many barriers here, and trust me, you do not want to fuck about with this thing.
Indeed. It can end a decent run of this level.
Oh, it's happened to me many a time, mate. Oh, and don't go...
See what I miss here.
Oh...
Every fucking time, I forget that's there until I touch the gold ring.
And if you want evidence for that statement, you can very clearly tell that's not a transparent medal. That's what he just has neglected to pick up thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Now, instead of going back to Spagonia for our checkup, because Professor Pickle's got his new office now, we go to Shamar. I was glad that popped up so I could remember the name.
Good stuff. So this is like, what, Arabia and so on? I think I just went full Aladdin there and called, like, this place something that hasn't really been called that for thousands of years.
Yeah. I mean, this is basically dealing with your... sort of your Afghanistan's, your Syria's... It's that sort of bit of the world.
Yeah, the Middle East, essentially.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think... Obviously, we've mentioned Sonic Unleashed's level choices, but I think that they did a very good job of picking out locations around the world that fit level tropes that were very standard video game tropes, but that end up feeling somewhat unique in this circumstance because they are obviously based on real world locations, and it's just quite fun.
It's what this game to me does better than some Sonic games. It's the tropes are sort of justified,
yes,
and there's more to the level than just the trope. Because, like, yes, this is the desert level, but it's the desert level in this particular area of the world. There's this particular, extra theme to it, as opposed to, say, the Lost World desert level that is just, it's a desert level.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
It's a desert portion of the Lost Hex, but I take your meaning.
Yeah, but like that is very much a paint by numbers kind of world that they built for that game. So
fair enough. Yeah. They took from reality for this one. That's why I give it top points.
Yeah, well, it's more detailed. I think that's what a lot of it comes down to.
Okay, mate, take us through Arid Sam's day in the Wii version. How do you find this particular part of the game?
Way leaps and bounds above the HD equivalent of it. Like, this is actually a really fun level, and it's one of the ones that I do tend to go back to. It's one of the ones that I also tend to fall off the side of slippery sections, like you saw there. But at the end of the day, it's just a level that it works. There's a lot of sections where you get to go fast, and there's a lot of sections where you get to go fast while interacting with the shit. There's plenty of ramps, there's all that good shit.
Just grind Sonic along the thing. That's one way to sharpen his spines and or face, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it works. But yeah, it's probably one of my favourite Wii version levels.
Well, I mean, I have to say, watching this now, it's certainly seeming a lot nicer in terms of its level design than the HD version, because it's much more open in terms of particularly the bit in the city. So that's a lot fairer, but also it doesn't seem to be throwing quite so many ultra finicky jumps at you, which the HD version is really, really fond of.
Yeah, it doesn't have loads of awkward sections that make me restart the level literally 61 times because it really fucks with me.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean, mate. I very nearly lost my goddamn mind, and then I found out that I was even recording.
Yep, that moment will always be probably one of the greatest highlights ever to happen in the history of HellfireComms. It's glorious.
Yeah, we just love your misery. Like, that's pretty much what Richie's just said.
To be fair, with the amount of retakes I've made you guys do in the past, I deserve it, really.
Well, if it weren't you, I'd be doing it myself, so...
I'm noticing there's a lot of drifting involved in this particular level. I guess this is where the Wii version takes off the kid gloves and says, if you're going to play my game, me, I'm going to make you suffer. It's time to ramp up the difficulty a little bit. Don't know why it has that accent, especially since we're in, friggin' Arab territory, but there you go.
Well, yes, but Tom, I'm very glad that you went with that accent, because we could have gone into majorly racist territory.
Alright, I'm sorry, look at this fucking mission. Look what you have to do. We are now probably about 4 or 5 hours into the game. We've been using the light dash in every single level up to this point. Now they decide to teach us how to use the light dash.
Well, a refresher course isn't bad. Oh, come on. That was very clearly like someone on their lunch break. They had to get a mission out to pad the runtime and whatnot.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Why 270? Why not 300? That really irks me for some reason.
Well, it's going to get worse than that, because this level actually has 2 ring missions, and the second one is 70.
What?
I have no fucking clue why.
I mean, to be fair, the Werehog level up screen's been driving me insane because its cap seems to be like 720,000 or something. It's just like, why? Just go with like 800,000 or something. Heck, just go to like 1 million. Go to a nice number.
To be fair though, like, there are other Sonic games where you have like collect ring missions and whatnot. I think the Rush games have them, don't quote me on that. They're definitely in like Secret Rings and Black Knight, obviously. But they don't seem too bad in Unleashed Wii.
It's probably because they're short and they're really easy.
Well, yeah, that's always a selling point in a 3D Sonic game, I will admit.
Now we've got a Docking Jars mission, because we loved those the last few times. This is completely necessary.
They're sacred jars, don't touch them.
Like, no one's touching right now. Like, I get this logically, say, like, even if it was like the fucking Nescal missions in 06, there's reason for you to do that, because it's like the thing needs to be protected. Whereas here, it's like the jars are just there, being left alone. So Sonic's mission is to go and do something quite dangerous near them that is more likely to break them than if he wasn't there at all.
I wish the story would explain this to us, but, you know, currently Eggman is just preparing something, and yes, we are paying attention to the story. It's just that we heavily commented on the story in the last playthrough. I figured we'd just get a bit in-depth with the game this time around.
But yeah, this is literally just the second half of the main level that we do without knocking jars, so there we go.
Okay. No problem. I guess now it's time for some high-definition fun. No, still in the Wii version.
Yeah, here's the 70 rings one I mentioned.
Jesus wept.
Sense. None of it is made.
You're letting yourself down, Wii version, you're letting yourself down. This is pretty cool, though.
Even all of this together is still less annoying than the HD equivalent of the level.
Tis true, tis true.
I think I've blocked out most of my memories of my time in Arid Sands Day HD, so I guess I'll get to experience
Let's relive them!
Oh, joy, here we go, dashing through the marketplace. Look out, people, you know, it's not enough that a dark guy is giving you shit. Now here comes a blue blur to tear up your daily business and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
I should say I wasn't exaggerating with the 61 attempts thing. I have that little counter of how many files I've been through. It just reminds me of how much time I've sunk into Sonic.
Yeah, it's just that this level tries to do like so much. It tries to make, you know, a realistic sort of level for you to go through. Like, oh, there's like, you know, people's houses and whatnot, and you're running through marketplaces, which is admirable, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, you get some really fiddly set pieces as well, and panicky jumps, as Richie said earlier. That said, I'm not sure whether this would be my least favourite day stage, because at least it looks nice, and the music, while it does tend to drone a little bit, is still energetic, and there are some parts I enjoy. I suppose, you know, lots of potential for sick speed-based combos and the like. I don't know what I'd say is my least favourite, honestly.
I think mine is probably Skyscraper Scamper Day, perhaps? It's either that or this one. Like, I don't really have a major least favourite day stage in Unleashed, because they are all really fun. But I would say that Arid Sands Day and Skyscraper Scamper Day are probably my least favourite. This one because it has a lot of ludicrously finicky bits of platforming that just have no need to be there, and I think Skyscraper Scamper throws just certain really ridiculous obstacles at you, and you're just like, what was the need of that?
I suppose so. Yeah, I guess I'll put it at the bottom, maybe give it a tie with Dragon Road Day, because I do like Empire City, if just for the scale of it, and I feel it's a lot more exciting than Dragon Road Day, even though you are running along the Great Wall. Although that opinion might change once we relive Empire City Day. You know, I have not played Unleashed in a while, I may be misremembering some things. What's left to say, except the trauma. Don't hit that box while the platform is retracted into the wall. You'll die, most likely.
Admittedly, I probably could have got that on the first cycle, but I was just being careful at this point.
Huh. I can't remember a time when I took this rail all the way. I usually took a shortcut.
Oh, that's the prospect of I've been here all afternoon. I don't want to die.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. In more ways than one, I suppose.
But it's this section, like, there's two particular parts that annoy me. One is the section with the people, which is just an annoyance. You know, you're trying to boost along at the marketplace at the start and you bump into people and you've probably killed them at that speed, but the game obviously won't show that.
No,
but they just
they are made of fucking kryptonite or titanium. You bump into them and they're not budging.
And then there's this section.
Ugh.
The moving pillars with the spikes, and the pillars are quite often below the screen, so you can't aim properly, and you fall in the spikes and die, and get hit even.
What I do is, like, if I ever find myself on that bit, is I jump from the first column and I make a boost leap of faith, and usually my momentum carries me across the other two columns.
I get the logic of one leap of faith rather than two, but still, it's risky.
And now you just boost through this entire thing and we're good. That is Arid Sam's day. What do you guys watching think of it? Is it your least favourite day stage? Is it your favourite day stage? Tell us, chastise us, but be nice about it, please. We'll see you next time for a bit more Sonic Unleashed.